As life unfolds, each passing year teaches us the profound value of inner peace and meaningful relationships. But in your golden years, when time feels more precious than ever, certain people can quietly erode the tranquility and happiness you've worked so hard to cultivate. Toxic influences, often disguised as friends, family, or acquaintances, can drain your energy, test your patience, and steal your joy. This video is your guide to recognizing and gracefully distancing yourself from 8 types of toxic individuals who may disrupt your well-being. Whether it's the chronic complainer, the manipulator, or the silent envious one, these people carry negativity you don't need in your life. Drawing on timeless wisdom from philosophy, psychology, and practical life lessons, you'll learn how to identify these personalities, set healthy boundaries, and reclaim control over your emotional well-being. By the end of this video, you'll not only know how to spot these harmful dynamics, but also discover empowering strategies to protect your peace and preserve the happiness you deserve. Take a deep breath, lean into the wisdom that awaits, and embark on a journey to nurture the most important relationship of all, the one you have with yourself. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss more meaningful content like this. Let's begin. Number 1. The chronic complainer, the one who casts stones into the stream. Have you ever felt your spirits dim after a conversation with someone who can't stop complaining? These individuals are like murky water flowing through your soul, carrying negativity and draining your energy. They constantly look for flaws, even in moments that seem perfect. They can turn a beautiful sunny day into a rant about unbearable heat, or a joyful gathering into a list of grievances. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, once said, "It is not events that disturb us, but our interpretation of them." This profound reminder teaches us that while you cannot control what others say or do, you can absolutely control how you respond to them. How you handle chronic complainers will ultimately determine the peace within your soul. Imagine this. You're enjoying a fresh morning at the park, basking in warm sunlight and listening to birds chirp. Suddenly, your friend, the chronic complainer, shows up and begins their usual lament. "This heat is unbearable. It's bound to rain tomorrow. And look at all these people here. Impossible to relax." Slowly, you feel your good mood slipping away, as though the wave of negativity has swept your joy downstream. In such moments, you need to create what I call a shield of reason, a mental barrier that helps you retain the positive and let the negative drift away. Ask yourself, does what they're saying really affect me? Is this their issue or mine? Remember, their complaints are not absolute truths. They are merely their interpretation of the situation. You can also try encouraging them to see things differently. When they complain, gently ask, "Is there something positive we can enjoy in this moment?" For instance, the air feels so fresh and the sky is so clear. Not only will this help you maintain your optimism, but it might also prompt them to reconsider their perspective. Research shows that frequent exposure to negativity can impact mental health, particularly for older adults. Both modern psychology and Stoicism agree. Happiness is not about avoiding problems, but about overcoming them and finding meaning in the challenges life presents. So, the question is, have you ever encountered someone who constantly complains? How do you handle it to protect your positive energy? Take a moment to reflect. Life is short and precious. Don't let the ones who cast stones into the stream disturb the calm waters of your peace. Instead, learn to let their complaints drift away like passing winds and focus on what you can control, your mind and emotions. Number 1. The chronic complainer, the one who casts stones into the stream. Have you ever felt your spirits dim after a conversation with someone who can't stop complaining? These individuals are like murky water flowing through your soul, carrying negativity and draining your energy. They constantly look for flaws, even in moments that seem perfect. They can turn a beautiful sunny day into a rant about unbearable heat, or a joyful gathering into a list of grievances. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, once said, "It is not events that disturb us, but our interpretation of them." This profound reminder teaches us that while you cannot control what others say or do, you can absolutely control how you respond to them. How you handle chronic complainers will ultimately determine the peace within your soul. Imagine this. You're enjoying a fresh morning at the park, basking in warm sunlight and listening to birds chirp. Suddenly, your friend, the chronic complainer, shows up and begins their usual lament. "This heat is unbearable. It's bound to rain tomorrow. And look at all these people here. Impossible to relax." Slowly, you feel your good mood slipping away, as though the wave of negativity has swept your joy downstream. In such moments, you need to create what I call a shield of reason, a mental barrier that helps you retain the positive and let the negative drift away. Ask yourself, does what they're saying really affect me? Is this their issue or mine? Remember, their complaints are not absolute truths. They are merely their interpretation of the situation. You can also try encouraging them to see things differently. When they complain, gently ask, "Is there something positive we can enjoy in this moment?" For instance, the air feels so fresh and the sky is so clear. Not only will this help you maintain your optimism, but it might also prompt them to reconsider their perspective. Research shows that frequent exposure to negativity can impact mental health, particularly for older adults. Both modern psychology and Stoicism agree. Happiness is not about avoiding problems, but about overcoming them and finding meaning in the challenges life presents. So, the question is, have you ever encountered someone who constantly complains? How do you handle it to protect your positive energy? Take a moment to reflect. Life is short and precious. Don't let the ones who cast stones into the stream disturb the calm waters of your peace. Instead, learn to let their complaints drift away like passing winds and focus on what you can control, your mind and emotions. Number 3, the manipulator, the master of deception. Have you ever felt someone skillfully twist a situation to make you shoulder the responsibility for their problems? Manipulators are masters of emotional control, making you believe that their desires are your obligations. They are like emotional illusionists, playing tricks on your mind to convince you that you must do things that aren't truly your responsibility. Epictetus, the great Stoic philosopher, once said, "Happiness is not found outside of us, but in our control within." When dealing with manipulators, this teaching becomes a golden key to safeguarding your mental freedom. Always remember, you have the right to say no without guilt. Imagine this. You're sitting at a family gathering. Suddenly, a relative begins asking for financial help, accompanied by subtle hints that you're the only one who can save them from their difficult situation. With teary eyes, they recount their struggles, making you feel that refusing them would mean you lack compassion or don't care enough. You feel torn. Part of you wants to help, but another part wonders if you're being taken advantage of. This is the dangerous power of the manipulator. They know how to trigger guilt, responsibility, and empathy to achieve their goals. However, you don't have to endure this. Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find freedom. Ask yourself, do I truly want to do this? Or am I being coerced by guilt? Does helping in this situation bring real value? Or is it perpetuating a cycle of exploitation? By thinking clearly, you'll realize that setting boundaries not only protects you, but also encourages others to take responsibility for their own lives. To deal with a manipulator, follow these 3 steps. 1. Self-awareness. Recognize when your emotions are being manipulated. If you feel guilty or pressured, pause and analyze the situation. 2. Set boundaries. Be clear about what you can and cannot do. For instance, you can say, "I understand your situation, but I'm unable to help at this time." 3. Stay firm. Manipulators will often try to sway you, but remember, you don't need to please them to prove your worth. As Epictetus reminds us, the wise seek approval not from others, but from within. By focusing on what you can control, your mind, emotions, and boundaries, you protect your inner peace and preserve your mental freedom. So, here's a question for you. Is there anyone in your life who makes you feel burdened with responsibilities that aren't yours? How can you protect yourself without feeling guilty? Remember, you are not here to fix the world's problems. Empower others by allowing them to take responsibility for their own lives, and empower yourself by safeguarding the freedom of your spirit. Number 4. The obsessive controller. The one who forgets what's within reach. Have you ever encountered someone who tries to control every aspect of life? Not just their own, but yours as well? The obsessive controller lives in fear of uncertainty, and to feel secure, they attempt to manage even the smallest details. They forget that, like trying to grip sand too tightly, the harder they squeeze, the more it slips through their fingers. Marcus Aurelius, the esteemed Stoic philosopher, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This lesson is crucial for both obsessive controllers and those who interact with them. Remember, you're not responsible for meeting their unrealistic expectations. Instead, gently remind them that life is at its best when we embrace uncertainty and allow others the freedom to express themselves. Imagine having a friend or family member who constantly dictates how you should organize your home, plan your day, or make personal decisions. They might say things like, "If I were you, I wouldn't do it that way," or "I think you should handle it this way." Their words leave you feeling stifled, as if every choice you make requires their approval. But here's what you need to understand. They don't control because they're strong. They control because they're insecure. They fear unpredictability, and controlling is their way of coping with that fear. However, you don't have to be a victim of their obsession. Ask yourself, do I really need to follow their wishes to keep the peace? Or am I merely enabling their controlling behavior by giving in? Dealing with an obsessive controller requires tact and determination. Here are 3 steps to protect your freedom. 1. Identify what's within your control. You cannot change them, but you can change how you respond. Stay calm and focus on maintaining your autonomy. 2. Communicate with kindness. When they try to impose their will, gently say, "I understand your perspective, but I want to make my own decision on this." 3. Encourage them to let go. Remind them that no one can control everything. Share a Stoic truth, such as, "Life isn't about controlling everything. It's about learning to face what we cannot control." Remember, refusing to comply with their demands is not defiance. It's a way to safeguard your inner peace. As Marcus Aurelius taught, true strength lies in recognizing what's within your power and what isn't. So here's a question for you. Is there someone in your life who's trying to control you? How can you set boundaries while maintaining respect and harmony? Always remember, your freedom is a priceless gift, and life becomes most meaningful when we learn to embrace and confront the uncontrollable. Letting go of compulsion doesn't just liberate you, it might also help them find peace within themselves. Number 5. The attention seeker. The one who sings a solo. Have you ever encountered someone who seems to make every conversation about themselves? These individuals are like a solo singer. always performing the same tune about their lives. They take center stage in every dialogue, leaving little to no room for others to speak. In moments like these, you might feel like an unwilling audience, stuck listening to an endless monologue. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, once said, "The imbalance in life often stems from forgetting our role." Attention seekers forget that conversations are not monologues. They are exchanges. When you encounter such individuals, it's crucial to protect the space for your voice to be heard, but do so with kindness and tact. Picture this. You're at a gathering with close friends. You start sharing an exciting story about your recent trip, only to be interrupted a few sentences in. The attention seeker chimes in. "Oh, that reminds me of my trip last year. It was amazing." And for the next 10 minutes, they go on about themselves, leaving your story forgotten and the shared space hijacked. This doesn't just make you feel overshadowed. It can also erode the connection between the two of you. But instead of staying silent and letting them dominate the conversation, you can gently but firmly reclaim your right to share. Try saying, "That sounds really interesting, but I wasn't finished sharing my story. Let me add a bit more to it." Dealing with an attention seeker doesn't mean you need to confront them aggressively or make them feel guilty. Here are a few ways to navigate these situations gracefully. 1. Use the polite interruption technique. When they start to monopolize the conversation, gently interject, "That sounds great, but let me finish my part of the story." 2. Redirect the conversation. After they've shared, involve others by asking, "What about you? Do you have a similar experience?" This encourages balance and inclusivity. 3. Respect your own boundaries. If you consistently feel unheard, ask yourself, is this a balanced relationship? If not, prioritize spending time with people who truly listen and value your voice. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we may listen twice as much as we speak." Attention seekers need to be reminded that listening is also a gift, and sharing space is the foundation of a healthy relationship. So here's a question for you. Have you ever met someone who dominates every conversation? How can you reclaim balance without hurting their feelings? Remember, your voice deserves to be heard, and life becomes richer when we share it together, rather than turning every interaction into a one-person show. By standing firm, yet respectful, you not only protect yourself but also help them learn to be a better conversationalist. Number 6. The opportunist. The one who only shows up in the sunshine. Have you ever noticed that some people only show up when they need something from you? They're like uninvited guests, appearing when the sun shines to enjoy the joy and benefits you provide, but vanishing when you need support during life's storms. These relationships aren't genuine friendships. They are what Aristotle referred to as friendships of utility, relationships that exist only as long as you remain useful to them. But life isn't always bathed in sunlight. As Aristotle taught, true friendships are built on virtue and loyalty, where both people walk together through both sunshine and rain. When you realize that someone only comes around when things are good, ask yourself, does this relationship truly bring value to my life, or am I just a temporary stop on their journey? Imagine you've been facing a significant challenge in life, perhaps health issues, financial difficulties, or emotional struggles. Real friends will show up to support, share, and listen. But what about the opportunist? They disappear or avoid you, as the relationship no longer serves their interests. Then, when you overcome the difficulty and find success, they reappear, acting as though they never left. Relationships like these are not just hurtful, they erode your trust in others. But don't let this turn you into a cynic. Instead, Learn to distinguish between genuine friendships and transactional ones. By carefully choosing your companions, you protect your peace and create space for relationships that truly matter. Here's how to identify and handle an opportunist. 1. Observe patterns. Do they only reach out when they need something? Are they absent when you're struggling? 3. Evaluate reciprocity. Ask yourself, is this relationship balanced? Do I feel valued? 3. Set boundaries. Be clear about what you are willing to do and what you won't. This protects your energy and signals to opportunists that you are not easily exploited. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Cherish the good in yourself and in others." Don't waste your time on things that lack value. By doing this, you not only preserve your peace but also make room for genuine friends, those who stand by you even in life's storms. So here's a question for you. Is there someone in your life who only shows up when things are easy? How can you shift your focus from opportunistic relationships to those rooted in loyalty and virtue? Remember, life is too precious to waste on people who don't appreciate you. Choose your friends wisely, and you'll find that even in the rainiest of days, you'll never truly be alone. Number 7. The silent envy. The parasite in the garden of your soul. Have you ever felt a strange contradiction in the way someone congratulates you? They may smile and say the right words, but somewhere in their tone or the glint of their eyes, you sense insincerity, as though your happiness has stirred a quiet envy within them. Silent envy is like mistletoe in your garden of relationships, seemingly harmless, but steadily draining the vitality of your connection. Stoic philosophy reminds us that happiness and self-worth should never depend on external validation. Seneca, the renowned Stoic philosopher, once said, "The wise person will not let envy disturb them." This means that when you encounter envy, respond with compassion and refuse to let it unsettle your peace. Remember, their envy doesn't reflect your worth. It reflects their own insecurities. Picture this. You've just achieved a major milestone, a successful project, a new relationship, or a personal accomplishment you're deeply proud of. A friend or colleague congratulates you, but then quickly shifts the focus or attempts to one-up you by recounting their own achievements. Instead of sharing in your joy, they mask their envy behind deflection or comparison. This kind of silent envy can erode relationships if left unchecked, but rather than react negatively, you can handle it with wisdom, empathy, and a clear sense of self-worth. Here are ways to face silent envy while preserving your peace of mind. 1. Understand the root of envy. Envy often stems from insecurity or a sense of lack. Recognizing this allows you to respond with empathy rather than anger. 2. Don't seek validation. Remind yourself that your value doesn't depend on others' approval or applause. Your happiness belongs to you alone. 3. Set gentle boundaries. If their envy becomes toxic, limit how much you share about your successes and seek encouragement from those who are genuinely supportive. 4. Share positivity. Sometimes, a sincere compliment or encouragement from you can help ease their insecurity. Just be mindful not to let this drain your own positivity. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, don't waste energy on what you can't control. Instead, focus on how you respond. Someone else's envy is not your responsibility, but how you address it can protect your peace and strengthen your resilience. So here's a question for you. Is there someone in your life who you sense harbors quiet envy toward you? How can you safeguard your positive energy while remaining compassionate? Remember, like a well-tended garden, your soul will flourish when nurtured with authenticity and love. Don't let parasitic envy sap your strength. Instead, Learn to care for and protect the relationships that truly bring value to your life. As we've explored, protecting your peace and happiness begins with recognizing the people who may disrupt it and having the courage to set boundaries. By applying these strategies, you're taking an important step toward living a life filled with positivity, purpose, and authentic connections. Remember, your happiness is worth prioritizing, and your well-being is in your hands. If you found value in this video, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss out on content that helps you nurture your best self. Thank you for watching, and here's to a life filled with joy and peace. See you in the next video.